Power 93.3 FM Port Harcourt. And of course, we had the first leg of the discussion talking about youth development in River State. And now let's look at something a bit closer home to Nigerians, and that is talking about the issue of subsidy and the issue in the oil and gas sector. Now, a lot of Nigerians have often criticized government that government is not doing anything about fixing the 4 refineries in the nation. But again, President Bola Tinubu may have corrected that when President Bola Tinubu announced that federal government by December will ensure that the Port Harcourt refinery is operational. Now, let's give you a bit of history concerning the Port Harcourt refinery. The federal government, through the NNPC in 2021, signed a deal with an Italian company, Mario Temizo SPA, for a complete revamp of the 2 refineries in Port Harcourt at a cost exceeding about $1 billion. The contract that will be executed in 3 phases is expected to bring the 2 refineries to full production capacity. And the first phase, it should have been delivered in April 2023, but the company announced a 5-month extension, and the second and third phases would have been delivered in 32 and 44 months, respectively, by the contract terms. But again, we should expect the 2 refineries in Port Harcourt to be fully functional, according to the company, by 2025. In February 2023, NNPC also signed a $741 million deal with Daewoo Engineering and Construction Company to rehabilitate the Kaduna refinery. NNPC Limited, according to Bloomberg, signed the contract with the South Korean firm under the term of the agreement, and they will restore production at the moribund 110 barrel per day facility to at least 60% production capacity by the end of 2024. Now that President Bola Tinubu has announced to Nigerians that Port Harcourt refinery will come upstream by the year 2023, and from what we know, the company said it will be fully working by 2025. Okay, so how are we going to make this work? Dr. Obele is with us in the studio. He's the chairman of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, River State chapter, and he's one person that has been trying to make sense out of all of this issue concerning oil and gas for us. Dr. Obele, good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Pastor Good. Thank you for inviting me.
So let us first of all clarify on these dates. The president has told Nigerians that the refinery in Port Harcourt, though you asked a very critical question, and the critical question you asked is which of the refinery is the president talking about? Because there are 2 refineries in Port Harcourt. But again, the president said the refinery in Port Harcourt will come off stream by the year 2023. But what we know is that the company handling that project said it will be up by 2025. So what are we missing here?
Okay, Shego, permit me take you down history lane. Nigeria as a nation will have 3 refineries per se, talking about the states of location, and one in Kaduna, 100,000 barrel production capacity per day, the one at Warri, 100,000 barrels production capacity per day, and the first premier refinery in Port Harcourt, built in 1962, I think 62, 65, a production capacity of 50,000 barrels per day, and the second also, and the biggest in Nigeria, 200 production capacity barrels per day, a joint production capacity of 450,000 barrels per day. And it may interest you to know that a single individual is building just one that is 650,000 production capacity per day, which is far more than joining the production capacity of Nigeria 4 own refineries together. And following history lane 2, the Kaduna refinery has been shut down or be at this dormant state for about 27 years now. Then the oldest refinery in Nigeria, the one at Alesa Eleme, the first refinery, has been shut down for 30 years now. Then the biggest refinery in Eleme has been shut down for about 6-7 years now. Then the one in Warri is 5 years now. So arising from stakeholders' call for the repairs and revamping of these refineries, the former Minister of State for Petroleum, Timi Priscilla, approached Afreximbank, Africa Export and Import Bank, for a counterpart funding, and that was put at $1.5 billion. And the $1.5 billion on the good information, the counterpart, that is the private partner, which is Afrexim Bank, have done its own part of the $1 billion, and we are yet to know who has not done its own part, which is $0.5 billion, making it $1.5 billion worth of the contract. I was at the site recently and I saw contractors pulling out of site, and I was trying to like, what is really happening? The job is not fun. The refinery is not functional yet. Yet contractors are pulling out of site, and I was meant to understand that the project is suffering funding. This was 2-3 weeks ago. Contractors are pulling out of sight as we speak. So the statement of Mr. President that the refinery will commence operation by December, I would say it has rekindled hope to we, the marketers, because it was an hopeless situation. Recall that the former Minister of State for Petroleum, he has earlier mentioned that December 2022, last year, December, the refinery will commence operation. He failed. And he said first quarter of this year, 2023, he failed. In the letter says second quarter of this year, which was June, July, he failed. And we are in August and the refinery is not functional yet. And this statement was often done in joint press conference by the GMD of NNPC. So what is the difference between when the GMD and the minister in the joint statement gave us a date and they failed, and now? The mandate from Mr. President that the refinery will commence work operation by December, it is an awakening call to the GMD himself. Every person is now on the watch because this is coming from Mr. President and the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. His watch should be a bond. That's why every person is looking towards this December. But as part of my oversight function at that very facility, the turnaround rehabilitation site, I can tell on good note that civil job they are done, mechanical job they are done. I'm talking about the old refinery, which is 50,000 production capacity per day. But tell Mr. President, the gaps I discover in the statement, number one, he never mentioned the degree of production that will commence by December. He never mentioned, is it both refinery that will commence operation by December or the first or the second? He never mentioned. But I can tell on good authority, the second refinery, which is the biggest in Nigeria, 200 production capacity barrels per day, that will commence like late next year.
All right. So let us just clarify things for the benefit of our listeners. So you are saying that there are two refineries in Port Harcourt.
Yes, one is 50,000 barrels per day, one
50,000 barrels,
and one is 200,000 barrels per day.
Per day.
Yeah,
But again,
yes.
we don't know the one the president is referring to when the president said the Port Harcourt refinery will commence.
And that was a gap in his statement. That was a gap. And the second gap is that we were supposed to see like a reinforcement strategy, like 40 men could do a work for 10 days. I've reinforced it to 80 men arising from the hardship and the pressure in the nation. Based on this, the job, the duration will be reduced. We are hoping to see such. So all things being equal, we are the stakeholders of the industry. We are optimistic. Also, we've been saying that it looks as if most of these refineries where we've been importing from international refineries, most especially the Netherlands refinery, it should be owned by Nigerian leaders. How can we dump our refinery? We shut down ours and we're importing that.
Okay, let us not go to the theory. Let us stay with what is visible here on ground. Now, you are one man who visits the refineries almost every day. I mean, the refineries in River State almost every day. From what you see on ground, either of the two refineries, do you see anything that suggests that by December, one of the refinery will come up to maybe the one with 50,000 barrel per production or 200,000? Is there anything you've seen that suggests to you that, well, yeah, maybe this may just come up by December?
So I mentioned reinforcement of workforce.
Yeah.
If the present workforce as the old refinery, the premium refinery, which is 50,000 barrels per day, is reinforced, that refinery will commence operation by October, November.
But as we speak today, because you said you visited recently, did you see any reinforcement of workforce?
No, I am saying that the statement of Mr. President
should signal the
the reinforcement.
Okay,
but all things being equal, the refinery, the old refinery will commence operation. I think December is possible, but if it's reinforced, it could be October before November. They are done with civil jobs, mechanical jobs. It's just the electrical aspect. And as we speak, as a few days ago, they've commenced day and night operation, which is a good one. It could be part of this reinforcement, like I mentioned. So it's likely possible. But what should be our joy?
Okay.
The statement of Mr. President has given hope to we the marketers, and about 11 million Nigerians that lost their jobs arising from the shutdown of the refinery. And it has given a threat. It puts a serious threat to two categories of people. Operators of private tank farms will be out of business when this refinery commences operation. Number two, the cabal, the importers of this refined products from the foreign refineries, they'll be out of business. So if it has given hope to those that lost their job arising from the statement of Mr. President, it has also posed a serious threat to two categories of people. Recall, I told you we have close to 200 private tank farms in Nigeria, and the business is the fastest growing business. These persons will be, what is the job model? Import from anywhere from anywhere outside the world, deposit it in your tank, discharge it into your tank, and sell to marketers. Now, this set of persons will be out of business, and it costs over 7 billion naira to construct one private tank farms, and they have over 200 in Nigeria. Shegu, the threat is exposed to them. Will they stand to see all things being equal that this refinery will commence operation by December? That's the question you as a journalist should investigate. These two set of persons, this announcement by Mr. President will pose a serious threat to.
But again, you see, what is also interesting that I would want to know, while it is good to have the refineries fully working alongside the Dangote refinery, which would also make Nigeria a net exporter of the refined petroleum product, but the local refining, with what the president has said, will this translate to cheap pump price of PMS? Because that's what Nigerians want to hear. You have just told us that the Port Harcourt refinery can only produce about 50,000 barrels of crude oil per day. So let's assume that in line with what President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has said, the Port Harcourt refinery become operational or is producing by December. Will this translate to cheap petrol? Are we going to buy petrol at a cheaper price with that?
At the moment, Nigerians are buying fuel close 600 naira, in some states above 600 naira per liter. Do you know the cost of petroleum product in this 600 naira we're paying, Shegu, is 25% of the total cost? Just 25%. So that's to say, what constitutes the holistic or the total comprehensive 100% Nigerians are paying is the cost of getting a mothership, cost of foreign port charges, local port charges, baby ship, transshipping, and the rest. So less 25% from the rate we are buying right now is about 160, 170. So this implies that when we are, if the cost of the product in the international market is just 160, 170 thereabout, that's to say, when we are refining locally, that will be, Nigerians will buy fuel 85, 95 naira per liter when we are refining locally. But if Mr. President has announced that Nigerians with refineries will commence operation, the one in Port Harcourt refinery will commence operation by December 2023. The gap is which one among the two will commence operation. Now, Shegu, if it is the one of 50,000 production barrels per day, that is not a joy for us. It's not time for us to jubilate yet. Reason because 158 liters is in one barrel. So multiply 158 by 50,000 barrels, meaning we will get about 7.9 million liters every day. And our consumption today is close 50 million liters. So that will not abolish importation. The hardship upon us as concerned the cost of premium motor spirit is arising from importing from the international market. Now, to take it again, let's take it one step further. Even if the two commences operation by December, which is not possible, that is 200 plus 50, it will be a production capacity of 250 barrels per day. Now multiply by one barrel makes 158 liters is in one barrel. So multiply 158 by 250,000 production capacity per day. That gives us 36.6 million liters per day. And our production consumption as a people is 46 million liters and above. So that will not even stop or abolish importation. So when the Warri refinery, Kaduna refinery, the Port Harcourt refinery commences operation, it will be a total production capacity of 450 barrels per day, multiplied by converting it to liters, which is multiplied by 158. That will give us 76 million liters per day. Until then, that is when the what they call it, importation for the international community will be abolished, and they will come to an end, and Nigerians will buy fuel less than 100 naira per liter.
But again, the possibility of that is also very slim, knowing fully well,
and that should be the next 2-3 years to come. That would be the next 2-3 years.
Again, yes. knowing that about 90% of the prices of crude oil is controlled by the international markets. How do you think that would translate to buying a cheaper buying petrol at a cheaper, because it has been regulated by the international market.
The act establishing for oil exploration in Nigeria stipulates that all the international oil producing companies and all their drilling activities, 40% should be reserved for local refining. 40% of the quota of all they are doing, while they can market the 60% in the international market. This 40% is reserved for local refining to be for the citizens of Nigeria. So that will not really affect the happenings in the international market. So until Nigeria start refining this product, premium motor spirit, here in Nigeria, then and only we can buy fuel less than 100 or less than 200. And let me put this to you. The next few days, Nigeria will see another increment on PMS. Reason because on Monday, 24th of July, there was an increment. Crude oil in the international market moved from $80 per barrel to $85 per barrel. Arising from that, AGO was increased by NNPC, and NNPC has gotten approval to increase PMS to 836 naira per liter. But the whole rationale behind the president broadcast was to water the ground for an increment of PMS to come. The next few days we'll see an increment on PMS because crude oil, which is the raw material that emanates all the other byproducts, has seen a sudden increment in the international market. Hence, it will reflect on the byproduct too.
Well, fantastic. I'm speaking to Dr. Joseph Obele. Dr. Joseph Obele is a lecturer, and apart from that, is the chairman of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. The broadcast of President Ahmed Bola Tinubu that the Port Harcourt refinery will begin operation by December 2023 has opened up a whole lot of arguments. And the argument is, will this also ensure that Nigerians buy PMS at a lower rate? And the production at the Port Harcourt refinery, we don't know which of them, but let's assume that the two refineries will be operational. The production, will it be enough to satisfy the needs of Nigerians in terms of PMS? Will it produce enough PMS for the consumption of Nigerians? And again, what about the international market? What does this mean? And what is all of this? And he's trying to help us make sense of all of that. Now, don't forget, we're still live on Facebook. On Facebook, it is Super 93.3 FM. On Twitter, it is Super FM News. On Instagram, it is Super FM 93.3. And on Twitter, on Thread, it is at Super FM 93.3. And on WhatsApp, you can send us a short comment, 09059481021. And we'll be taking all the telephone calls, 07050791021 and 0811743101. And according to Dr. Joseph Obele, you just heard him said that the possibility of having the two refineries in Port Harcourt work by December is slim. Well, maybe the 50,000 capacity refinery in Port Harcourt may work by December. But again, will that satisfy the consumption needs of PMS for Nigerians? That's a very big question. Let us just take some calls and we'll come back talking more to Dr. Joseph Obele. Good morning and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank.
Mr. Chairman, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, my name is Gabriel. I'm calling from Melelo.
Gabriel, good morning.
Yes, I want to talk about Mr. President's promise of the ending of the 2023, the refinery will be open. So I want to ask that, Mr. President, have you went to the refinery to go and know the condition of the refinery before he promised us? So this is my mistake. I want to know where have you went here to go and know the refinery.
Okay, you're asking, has the president gone to the refinery to know the present state before promising that the Port Harcourt refinery will be delivered by December? Is that your question? Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Gabriel.
Before he promised us, the ending of the 2023, whether he said.
Well, unfortunately, we have Dr. Joseph Obele here. He's not a spokesperson for the president. He's an independent marketer, but I will be asking him some question on that. Let's take another one. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, this is I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Sorry, I didn't get your name, sir.
Yeah, Honorable Chris, I'm calling from Illinois.
Honorable Chris, good morning. Yes.
At this my age now, since 19. I know how many
Honorable Chris, unfortunately, your line is not very clear. I apologize, Honorable Chris. Maybe you might want to call back, but let's just take another one. Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank.
Good morning, the very distinguished Pastor Shego. How are you doing this morning, sir?
And how are you doing, sir? Good morning.
I'm doing great. I salute your guest.
Morning.
The very distinguished Pastor Shego, like the president, rightly said. I think I would say, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. But before I, say something, Mr. President, I believe he was within the comfort of this Nigerian state when the former president, Goodluck, President Obasanjo, being minister to him, the incumbent governorship aspirant in Bayelsa State, when he has come out on national radios and national television, told us on countless occasions how much they have pumped into the revamping of the Port Harcourt refineries and other refineries, how he has given us on quarterly basis when and how and where the refinery will kick off, but all do not avail. I think it is would have been of wise opinion if Mr. President during that broadcast told us how far the previous government have gone in terms of revamping the refinery and what them as the government in power now are doing to collaborate in making sure indeed this time mark of December is being achievable. Because if I may tell him, his integrity, the thought is at stake. If at the end of the day that refinery did not start or did not begin operation at December.
All right. I think I get your point, Temple Okere. Temple Okere, I get your point clearly. Thank you so much. I think you've made a point there, Temple Okere. But let me just take two more before I come back to our guest in the studio. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. This is Point Blank. Good morning. Again, that line is not very clear. I apologize. Maybe you might need to try another of our lines. That particular line is not clear. Again, the number is 07050791021, 08117431021. Let's take this one. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. Point Blank.
Morning, Shego.
Good morning.
Hector.
Hector, good morning.
Thank you. The president has promised as usual, like other promises, presidents have been promising. December is not far from now, just 4 months from now. So we shall see if what he said he has promised will truly materialize. I want to ask this question to your guest, please. I was told that in the crude, we have several components, about thousands of, hundreds of components in the crude. Why is Nigeria only concentrating on fuel in that crude, petrol in that crude? Why are we not connecting other components in that continent?
Well, Hector, that's a very fantastic question to ask, but that's not the focus of our discussion. Perhaps some other time we'll be looking at that and we'll bring in an expert in petroleum engineering to talk about that. But again, we're looking at the issue of subsidy and the issue of making the refinery work, which is the specialty of Dr. Obele and also petroleum marketing. But again, Dr. Obele, somebody asked the question that has the president visited the refinery for him to say it will work in December? There are other things that make it work apart from the refinery itself working.
Pastor, I think the last question you just swept under the carpet is the most important question in this conversation.
Oh, yes, you mean
the caller asked, how come we in Nigeria were just extracting only 17 byproducts out of this commodity called this raw material called crude oil? The last research done in China by scholars of petroleum, the sector, they discovered that they have extracted 6,200 byproducts out of this commodity, and the last one done last year at Singapore, I think they have extracted 7,300 byproducts out of this single product called crude oil. Ask me in Nigeria, how many have we extracted? Just 17. Just 17. So it's a very big question for discussion. Just we just drop under the carpet to say it doesn't concern this. It concerns this conversation. How come crude oil has given some other nations 7,300 byproducts? It has given the last research was 6,200, and the most recent research now 7,300 byproducts out of this crude oil. We in Nigeria, we are able to get only 17 out of it.
So even the one that we have we
You're laughing.
That's what I'm saying. Well, again,
we are finding it difficult to get even one. We are finding it difficult to get one out of this. So you wouldn't want us to get thousands out of this. So I understand
the
your
one
dimension.
we are talking about. Have we even maximized it? That's why I'm saying that let us focus on this one first.
Let's get one out of it first.
Let's get one correctly. So again, let us come to yes. So
okay, the second caller asked a question: if Mr. President have visited his site before. Now, the statement from Mr. President should be emanating from the engineers outside to the contractor and to the GMD of the NMPC, and then Mr. President's pronouncing that I think is an authority. Mr. President mustn't really visit the site to say this is the situation of things. I think it's a due diligence report Mr. President acted upon to make that announcement. But the issue is, should we start celebrating that the refinery will commence operation by December? And I'm asking, why will you want to dance? Will that stop importation? No. And I say, even if the two commences operation, it will not stop importation from the international market. Reason because both two will give us 31.1 million liters per day. Now, if it's just one, which is the old refinery, it will give us close to 8 million liters per day. And our consumption as a nation is close 46 million liters per day. So there is no need of celebrating or no joy that the refinery will commence operation. If you are hopeful that it will stop importation and it will stipulate the price of commodities in the market and no, there's no joy that refinery will commence operation. But when will all Nigerian refineries commence operation, that will give us 76 million liters per day? Hence, our production is 46. That surpasses our production. Then we can have joy. Then, Shegu, the burden we have in our nation is just for the fact that we are importing from the international market. So until we stop that racket from importing from the international market, that's when we should be celebrating. So to me, we should ask Mr. President, which of the refinery will commence operation by December 1? Then that will determine if we should dance or not.
All right, fantastic. I'm going to take 2 WhatsApp messages. After that, I'll be asking you as a marketer of petroleum product, because you see, it is we are expectant, and just like one of the callers said, we should give the president the benefit of doubt that Port Harcourt refinery will work by December. But again, how will you transport the product? The LMA road is in a bad shape. Will that also work before December? Because it's another thing for the refinery to produce. Except you want to tell me that they will just be using ferry and they'll be using the waterways. I don't know how you want to do it. As a marketer, I'm going to be asking that question. But quickly, let me just take some comments that are coming in on the WhatsApp page. Hello, good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us. This is Point Blank.
Good morning to you, Shegun, and of course, the doctor in the house. My name is Kingsley Madubike from Rumokrushi. I want to, really appreciate what the doctor there has been saying about, rekindling hope to the marketers. But my question here is, the former President Muhammadu Buhari, who promised that the refinery will come on board last year and, of course, this year, first and second quarter, that now we are in August. How sure are we that, according to the president, that this refinery will start production in December? Because we just have about less than 5 months to go this year. So how sure are we that this refinery in Port Harcourt will start production in December? Or don't you think that is just one of those political talks just to calm the nerves of the NLC and of course Nigerians? So this is my question. Thank you.
And thank you for that question. Let's take another one. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
The presenter, and good morning to the guest in the studio. My name is Lucky Ebenezer Adwe, calling from Rivers State, Transamadi. Please, I want to ask if the president has assured us that by December the Port Harcourt refinery will be working to produce PMS for the masses. So I just want to ask if the president has assured us this promise, what about the bastard, the devastations of the East-West Road? How will goods and service be moved to its destinations and to the people who are in need of the goods? This should be an urgent step to take step to the backstage of the road also and to fix the road in a good condition so that there will be good flow of goods and services to the people.
Okay, thank you so much. And the caller asked the same question I'd asked. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning, and thank you for joining us. Mishak Kuyi is on the line. Hello, good morning, Mishak. Can you hear us, Mishak Kuyi? Okay, we seem to be having challenge with a particular line. So, Dr. Joseph Obele, you heard the two calls, and we just have about 3 minutes more on the show. Yes.
Okay, let me tell you about the attitude of we marketers. If you're selling in your depot 100 naira per liter to us, and there's another depot selling in Warri 99 naira, for the sake of 1 naira, all road will lead to your depot. So now all the 250 private tank farms we have in River State, they are selling imported product right now as we speak. So when Port Harcourt Refinery commences operation by December, there is no how the rate will be the same. So even if the difference is about 2 or 3 naira or 5 naira or so, all road will lead to Port Harcourt Refinery. So the pressure that will further put on that deplorable state of the road. And I'm thinking, I'm thinking that I think I can say about 15,000 trucks will be on that road every day.
They're already bad road.
Yeah, no. Once the refinery commences operation,
yes, and that's what I'm saying.
That will definitely the refinery will be selling less than the private tank farms that are selling imported products. Just take note of that fact. So that means all the marketers in Nigeria, all road will lead to a lesser element at that moment. So I'm thinking that Mr. President putting all this into consideration and the former president mandating NNPC to ensure that he fund ROCC for the construction of the road and the NNPC being the person to release the fund or the firm to release the fund. I think they will do the needful for so I think something might be done before then. I'm so optimistic about that.
You know, while it's just a form of excitement for independent oil marketers, for the people using the road, they are beginning to feel somehow that again, you're going to be having about 15,000 trucks.
The whole Nigeria, every market, all road leads
coming on that road.
Yes.
By the time the refinery is functional in December, and that's going to be more well, again, except federal government is going to do something urgently about the road. But again, as someone who is also from that area, you're not only an independent petroleum marketer, you are also from Element.
You're right.
Do you see anything they can do?
The local government chairman, Chief of Barolomate, I called him a few days ago, and he told me he has given the NNPC, ROCC, and whoever is concerned 14 days ultimatum to do whatever they can do. That he has been the one holding back the use as it concerns protest and mass action. That once the 14 days elapsed by next week Monday, that he won't hold them for.
But I think it should go beyond that, because now that the president has made the pronouncement and the president was specific about Port Harcourt Refinery, someone again needs to remind the president that look, the road leading to the refinery is impassable.
About a few days ago, Nigerians celebrated a young, vibrant person that was appointed to be the spokesperson to Mr. President, and I saw a picture, and he says the son of Eleme. I saw a picture of him standing side by side with Mr. President.
Perhaps
and
somebody needs to reach out Jerome Gilali.
And he also served the last president for 8 years. And I'm asking, and I see some sons of Eleme in the private jet with the governor and some persons that are their friends. I'm asking, these people, are they really whispering? Are they really talking to whoever they are close to, while they are sharing wine or whatever, that this is what my people are passing through? It's giving me a serious concern. But let's return back to our conversation outside the road.
Actually, that's what I want to say, because that's not the core of our conversation. It's just a diversion.
Yes. Because again, I know you have interest about that road. I understand.
I have.
Yes. Stick on that road too. Likewise me. Now, let's return back to our conversation. There are two things that should be telling us in Nigeria, but they are telling us just one among the two. They are telling us how much they are spending on subsidy. And they say it's a burden, they have to end it. But how much are they realizing from excess crude account? No person is telling us this. The Nigeria benchmark for crude oil marketing for the year 2023 as a law was put at 70 barrels per day. And today, crude oil is selling for 85 barrels per day, meaning there's an excess crude of 15 barrels per day. And Nigeria OPEC approval for our volume production is, I think, 1.7 million barrels per day. So multiply this 1.7 million barrels per day is 13 billion naira per day. 13 billion, that's what they make for SS group per day. This money is with who? Who is holding it? What are they doing with the money? But they're not telling us. But how much? So I want to say, if it could be a balanced account, what is happening on Y axis will be equal to what is happening on the S axis. Yes, you're wasting it's costing you much to pay for subsidy, but you're earning from SS crude account, because the law stipulates that what you account for is that which is the benchmark for the year. And for this year's budget, our benchmark is 70 barrels per day, $70 per day, per barrel. I mean, now they are selling it $85 per barrel. So who is accounting for the SS crude?
Well, what we know is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has told Nigerians that they will plow back all the gains from subsidy removal and in the petroleum sector to improving Nigerians and to make ordinary.
Then what about the subsidy SS crude account?
Well, again, we will need to leave that for the president, for him to announce to Nigerians and tell Nigerians what that will go for. But again, our big concern, which we have talked about this morning, is the issue on how feasible the Port Harcourt refinery will work by December 2023. And we try as much not to be a little bit personal, because there is a personal aspect on making the refinery work. Yes, while all Nigerians will celebrate that the Port Harcourt refinery is working by December 2023, those of us that are from LMA, it's another case for us. But again, we will leave that for those that matters. So again, we must thank you, Dr. Obele. It's been wonderful always talking to you. And every time we call upon you to make sense of issues in the oil and gas sector, you are always very quick to respond to us. Thank you once again, Dr. Obele. We appreciate you coming this morning.
Finally, we call on Mr. President that the best palliative in view of all this is to fix our refineries. Thank you. God bless you.
And thank you so much. And also, we must apologize to everyone who've been calling. And sorry, we cannot take all of your calls this morning. We apologize. And also, those who send us messages, we also thank you. We may not have read your messages, but thank you again for joining. It's been Point Blank this Saturday. Stay with us. Don't forget the